Welcome back to the Williams Real Estate Channel. I'm your host, Geordie Williams. Today, we are running through my ideal client profile. So I'm new to this whole sales game. I came from construction property background, built my portfolio, and I was a construction contracts type of guy, commercial manager in the end. So this is all new to me. But I've developed this as I'm now getting inquiries after inquiries, and it's just myself and my wife that we operate this buyer's agency, helping people build solid all-weather residential foundation portfolios. We can't help everyone, is the reality, and we only need a couple of hundred clients really who are in there for the long term, looking to build long-term sustainable wealth in residential Australian real estate, typically on the East Coast at this stage. We will go further when timing is right based off the 18-year land cycle, as that is my core philosophy around investing, is around the framework of the 18-year land cycle. But this is what I've developed to be my ideal client profile. I've worked with multiple different clients to date, more or less being trial and error. We're about nearly 2 years into this business, and it's now starting to really ramp up. So I'm now getting more selective of the people who I want to work with, because ultimately it's not cut out for everyone. The ATO has a stat, less than 1% have 5 or 6 or more investment properties. So 25,000 people in the whole of Australia are cut out for it. If you want to join the 1%, happy to help. But before, I guess, reaching out, listen to this. If you don't really fit in this model, then we probably won't fit and work together, because at the end of the day, I can't help everyone. It's not built for everyone. Not everyone is built for building a portfolio, and that's what I specialize in. I set a target, a goal for everyone that comes on board with myself to build the 10 residential foundation portfolio diversified across 2 or 3 states, which includes units, villas, townhouses in the metros, houses in the regions that have development upside, that you can add the granny flat or subdivide it to build a second house, or knock it down and build 3 or 4 townhouses on it. Once you're into a couple of houses, then we look at duplexes, so 2 units on one site, and then we look at blocks of units. And that's a all-weather, well-diversified portfolio across 2 or 3 states in all types of property, residential property. That is, we don't just stick to houses, as you will get stuck if you just stick to houses and just go for the bread and butter houses. As an example, people that are buying houses in the regions, that's not the best play at this point in time based off the 18-year land cycle. Yes, houses have done well in the regions the last 3 to 5, 6 years, but will not continue to outperform other products in markets such as units, villas, and townhouses in certain metros. Will perform over the next 3 to 5 years as the 18-year land cycle completes and we enter the next land-driven downturn, which would be like the next GFC event. So this is the strategy. We'll run through the top down of my ideal clients. Young, I mean, I've put less than 45. Really, I've helped people in their 50s and 60s, but by the time I help an older person, I can help 10 young people. But by the time someone's that age, I feel they suck too much energy out of me. If you haven't done it by then, the ship is probably too far sailed. There's a lot of young people coming through the ranks in their 20s and 30s that are hungry and eager to get into the property market, and you don't need big bucks to start. I'm getting kids going with as little as 40 grand. So by the time you're in your 50s, I'm happy to help. But as I said, by the time I help an older person later in their career, They seem to know the world, know it all. If they know it all, go do it yourself. Why don't you have the portfolio yourself? So, and I find the older people in their 50s and 60s really they too hard to work with, to be honest. And that is the core reality. By the time I help one older person, I could help 10 young people. So young, second to that, motivated. You can be young, but I mean, I talk to some people, they're not just not motivated. It's crazy. And I mean, I'm motivated. I think I'm one of the most motivated people I know. I aspire to obviously look up to all other inspirational people, sports people, people in politics, people in the property game for motivation. But you have to be motivated. If you're not motivated, you can be young, but you might not be motivated. So if you haven't got your pre-approval done yet, if you're not pushing the banks, if you're not saving, if you're going out partying, drinking, carrying on, and you'll get around to it. You're too busy at work. If you're too busy at work, your priorities are not aligned. You need to make building wealth your number one priority over your career. Your career will last till you're 50 or 60, and that's if you're good. I mean, I saw it during COVID. Everyone at the age of 45 plus got sacked, and all the mid-tier between their late 20s to mid-30s, that was it. You guys step up. You're now the new senior roles. It happened to me. Everyone above the age of 45, 50 got made redundant. Even most recently, the latest corporation I left was a land and property developer. They let the CFO go. He was a really good guy, worked with the likes of Lendlease, Meriton, Balderstone back in the day, wealth of experience, but he was in his mid-60s. He was the top of his game. CFO let him go because he passed his use-by date. They'd rather get someone in their mid-40s, more aggressive, more dynamic to fill that role. So a career will only last till you're 60, and that's if you're at the top of your game. Building wealth will last a lifetime. I cannot stress that enough. It'll be intergenerational. It'll support you throughout your life. It'll support your kids, your grandkids, everyone, your whole family. So you should make building wealth through property your number one priority. Second to that is whatever your career is, whatever you can get the most money out of doing, whatever, it doesn't matter because there's a time limit on your career. So build wealth as your number one priority and be motivated. So if you're not motivated, well, there's the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. So you got to get some motivation. Number 3, seeking to buy an investment property. That's a bit of an obvious one. I mean, I'm an investment property buyer's agent. I don't touch any or look to help people get into something to buy as an owner-occupier place. That's more of an emotional purchase. I can't do it. Strictly numbers, black and white, strictly cycles, strictly buying property for well under the intrinsic value. I look at it through a property and construction development lens and using the cycles, the yields, and I'm a value investor. I don't go and buy something because of the stairs or the view or the north facing or it's got nice landscaping or the walls are painted whatever color or the tiles. That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. The market will do 90% of the heavy lifting. Everything else is irrelevant. Even infrastructure and Olympic Games and all that stuff is great. It's a sugar hit. It's the market will do the heavy lifting. And if you can time it right, based off the cycle, based off historical sales data, the market will do 90% of the heavy lifting. So investment stock only. I'm not interested in looking at any buying owner-occupier stuff. I can steer you in the direction of other buyers agents that specialize in that stuff, but that is definitely not what I can help you with. Number 4 is willing to be guided and follow the process. This is another big one. If you want to come on the journey with myself and invest in the same markets as I am and build your portfolio and come under my wing and follow the process and buy the stock that I'm buying to build a portfolio, let's roll. Let's do it. If you've got the ideas and you want to go and renovate and flip something or buy a blue chip, or if you've got the ideas, go do it yourself. If you're not going to follow, if you can't be guided, you can't follow my process, then not interested in working, because you go around and around in circles and you never get anywhere. So if you've got all the ideas, that's great, go do it. But you have to be, if you want to work with me, willing to be guided and follow the process. It's simple. Next is alignment. This tails into the alignment with the Williams real estate strategy. I've developed this strategy in hindsight of what I would do today if I was starting from scratch. I started trial and error, looked what other people were doing, saw what bigger institutions were doing, saw how cycles work, when things work, when things don't work. And if I was to start again today, I mean, I've got 17 rentals across 3 states, and the people I'm helping today are doing way better in terms of a time frame and of age. I've got kids, 22, 23 on the 5th and 6th property. I bought my first at 24. I'm up to 17 now at 32. So we're getting there, but in hindsight, I would have done it a different way. And that different way is the Williams real estate strategy. We like to start from scratch in units, villas, townhouses in a metro market between 200 to 350, high threes. We don't like getting more expensive than 400,000 at this point of time in terms of the cycle, in terms of price points for units, villas, townhouses, because that is essentially half of the rebuild cost, half the intrinsic value. It costs now to build 550, 600 grand to build a unit minimum. That's entry level stock. You can spend $1 million on high end stuff. So when you're buying property for half the replacement cost, it's only a matter of time where people see value, the yields grow, the price you pay then realigns to the intrinsic value, being the build cost, 500 or 600 grand. And then in 5-6 years' time, when the market takes off and it's in a boom and all the stupid money's pouring in, like what's happening to Brisbane, Perth, and Adelaide now, it then exceeds it. And then projects then stack up for developers. Projects start to become feasible again. Developers start building more stock. They release more stock onto the market. If it's high-rise apartments or new townhouses or house and land packages, then the market goes from being an undersupplied market to an oversupplied market, and then the market goes through a downturn. So sure, if you go and buy a new one off the planned peak market now in Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide, you'll find yourself at some point in negative equity in the next 5-10 years. It's the cycle. So we start with units, and then once we get to around that 400 grand mark, we like to move out into the regions when timing's right. I know there's some people buying out in the regions now that are the supposed experts. They got their timing wrong. They're not across the 18-year land cycle. So when the timing's right, we'll time the regions, and we like buying houses in the regions on large parcels of land, so you can build your granny flat, or you might want to subdivide it to build a second house, or you may want to flatten it and build 3 or 4 townhouses. It's up to you. You don't have to do it straight away, and I wouldn't suggest doing it straight away. Typically, developers hold sites for at least 10 years through a market cycle. Once it becomes feasible and stacks up and it makes sense to knock it down to add more stock to a booming market, do it. If you want to do it, the development upside will be there for you to do it. And once you're in the market for a while and you build the equity up and you build the confidence, it'll make sense of doing it. And it can take time, many years to get approvals and planning all through council. So you can do that in the meantime. But the houses typically between that 200 to 250 to 400 grand. Once they're hitting about 500, 600,000, that's when we like to look at duplexes. So that's 2 units on one site. And then when we start hitting, say, 600, 700, 800, that's when we look at blocks of units. So blocks of 3s, blocks of 4s. And that's how we tier it up. We start small with the kindling, units, villas, townhouses in the metro markets. You'll get good growth. You can pull the equity out, put it into the regions in houses that have the development upside. Then we move on to multi-family duplex blocks of units. So everything works in synergy. Everything works well in an all-weather diversified portfolio. All types of property works well. It's every type of property has its time in the sun. So we don't just stick to houses. We don't just stick to units, because everything has their pitfalls and everything has the benefits. The units are great to get started, low capital, easy to finance. The banks love them. You can buy them all day. However, you can't add much value to them other than stripping out a kitchen, bathroom, paint, floor, that type of thing. So the added value to them is minimal. So, but good to get started, like kindling in a fire. Once you get in the market, a couple of them, pull the equity out, put it into a house or two in the regions that have the development upside. That's when you can start making the long-term big bucks, when you can start developing stock down the track. But they also don't stick to, or don't just jump straight to houses, because the houses are like putting split wood on the fire. When you go to the service station, you got the kindling bag, and then you got the split wood bag. If you start with the kindling bag, the smaller piece of timber, then you move to the split wood. If you jump straight to split wood, you might buy one or two, but then you get stuck. It's like trying to start a fire with a big piece of timber and a match. It's the same thing when it comes to building a portfolio. You need to build a portfolio so it's self-sufficient. You're balancing the flame, the air, and the timber. The flame and the air is like the cash flow, and the timber's like the debt. And after a while, the coals will build up. That's the equity. And as your fire continues to grow, you can slowly load it up with larger and larger deals. So every smaller deal will fund larger deals down the line, and then it just keeps compounding, and then you can start throwing logs on it, which is blocks of units. And then ultimately you want to land in blocks of units, because blocks of units is the best of both worlds. You control the whole site, you get a great cash flow, 7-8% yields. You can strata title, so you can buy them in bulk. You can chop them up into individual to increase your equity, so the bank will lend you more money, or you may want to sell them individually when the market tops out. Provide you best of both worlds. There's a reason why the biggest investor in Australia, the biggest in the game, Harry Triguboff, specializes in blocks of apartments. He started in his 30s with a modest block of 4, started building blocks of 4s, 6s, 8s, 10s, 20s, 100s, 200s. These days, Meriton builds high-rise apartments of 1,000 units in each block. He's 92 years of age, still at the helm. So time is it's never too late for anyone. Provide you're motivated and willing to be guided. Happy to help. So you don't have to tick every box, but if you don't tick 3 or 4, forget about it. Next one, alignment or aligned with your partner. This is another big one. So one person might be going gang-ho, wanting to build a portfolio. The other person or partner in the background might not want to do it. And then if there's a disalignment, you never get anywhere. So you have to be aligned. You have to be educated on the same strategy and willing to invest in the same way and be aligned with the Williams real estate strategy, because sure, you might be aligned with your partner that wanting to invest, but your partner might want to go and buy a negative geared property to save tax, or blue chip property, or go flip something or whatever. If you're not aligned, both aligned with the strategy, we'll never get anywhere. So I've had it now happen to me twice, twice. The husband wanting to build the portfolio, and the wife in the background saying no, 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 never getting anywhere. So it just make sure you're aligned. Even if your partner's not as invested, that's okay. I find it usually it's the wife. The wife wants to go gang-ho, that's great. And the husband's in the background, they just want to kick back and they're the chill and the easy one. They're usually, those partners are good. Ultimately, for young people starting off, do it yourself. Don't even get tied up your cousin, brother, whatever. It'll hold you back at some point in terms of your finance and your alignment with where you go in life and your goals. So build a portfolio as big as you can in your personal name, and then set up a family trust and keep going. But if you are investing with your partner, make sure you are aligned. Doesn't mention the fee. I mean, if you're going to mention the fee and you're going to, it's not worth my while. So, I mean, I have this not often. I mean, I'm pretty well placed in the market. I structure it in a two-tier. So buying property less than 500,000 is 11,000, including GST. Half is paid as a retainer when you start, sign up, all the paperwork. We'll then do a 2-hour strategy session. I'll send you more information around the strategy and where we're buying and all the ins and outs. My whole career jam-packed in 30 slides. It'll blow your mind. It's taken me 15 years to work out how to do it, and everything in hindsight in 30 slides. It's all yours. Off the back of that, we'll have a plan of exactly what type of property, where it's located, what condition, if it's something that's tenant ready, polished, or you want to get something that's a little bit tired, that needs a bit of a renovation. We'll work that out depending on your skill set, capital, risk profile. We'll hone in on you and strategize on where you are. You might already have a couple of properties. We'll run the reports, and so I can show you where they sit in the market and how to add properties to your existing portfolio to complement your portfolio to get you to the next level. Off the back of that, I then go source a deal, and probably about at least half of the deals are off market these days and growing, because the activity I'm in the market, agents send me deals all the time. So they want to work with me. They know I've got buyers and backup buyers, and agents want to get deals flowing. They don't care about trying to run something to 2 months campaign to try and get 50, 60 grand more. Sometimes buyers just don't want to put it to market because they're getting divorced or split or family issues, or they don't want to publicize they're selling it. Or sometimes, which I find a lot of the time, the agents door knock for me. They find opportunities where they're sitting on the fence, ahhing, maybe they might sell. All it takes is a signed contract. The next time they door knock and say, here you go, you want to sign it, settle in 20, 30 days, and then you get a good deal, 50, 60, 80 grand under CoreLogic market value, well under 100, 200,000 under the median. That's how you get the good deals, is you find the people that are considering selling but don't necessarily want to go through the effort of getting the property ready to put to market, clean it up, spend 10, 15 grand cleaning it up and marketing and photographs and all that stuff. They just want it gone. And that's when you can get the good deals. So don't mention the fee. I mean, I'll make you back the fee. So it's 11,000 including GST for sub 500 grand, and then above 500 grand, that's when we look at duplexes and blocks of units, 2.2% of the purchase price. So pretty fair split spread, and I'll make you way more money than the fee from day one in equity uplift from the deal, because it's all about getting a good deal. I'll save you hundreds of thousands of dollars for not making the stupid mistake and going in the wrong market, the wrong time, or buying the wrong product. So it's a no-brainer. And a good vibe. If you don't vibe with me, that's fine. I'm not here to please everyone. This is me. If you vibe with me, I'm a construction, property, capitalist, real estate guy. That's it. I don't care. This is me. So I will attract people who want to work with me and who want to have a good crack over their lifetime to set themselves up for success and their family for success, and not play the victim and mope and whinge and complain about how expensive property prices are. So good vibes, only good vibes. If you believe you hit all those, send me an email today. We can get the ball rolling. I can send you our roadmap, our spreadsheet of where we are looking in the markets currently, building the portfolios out. I can give you further details on the services. And if you're ready to rock and roll, we can schedule a time, we can do our strategy session, and we can map out your plan for the rest of 2025. There's markets that are booming that not necessarily the ones to get into, because when the market turns, they'll be going backwards. But there are markets right now, I believe, that are at the bottom and it's only up from here. So until next time, thank you for watching. Hope this helps. Hope this cuts down on all the tie kickers. Until next time, see you then.